You ever have one of those nights where a single word changes your whole life? I mean, just blows everything wide open? Because I did, and let me tell you, it wasn't some big speech or heroic moment. It started with an insult, tossed over a white tablecloth by a billionaire who thought I couldn't understand a thing he said. Yeah, that happened. And looking back, that one split second, it's the reason I'm sitting here, telling you this story instead of refilling water glasses for another table of Wall Street royalty. I'll back up a sec. My name's Anna Jensen, 24, living in a shoebox apartment packed with more books than furniture, working as a waitress at this ultra-fancy place called the Gilded Spoon. You know, the type velvet curtains, gold-plated everything. The sort of spot where the powerful go to play king and the people like me are just ghosts with serving trays. But I had a secret. It wasn't just your average server. I was in my last year at Columbia, studying linguistics on a pile of scholarships and caffeine. My real love was words, how people use them, twist them, hide behind them. That restaurant, it was my accidental field lab for human behavior, but it was also my daily grind. A reminder that dreams don't pay rent. Not in New York. The Gilded Spoon had its own little ecosystem. Mr. Harrison, the manager, ran the place like a dictator with a tie, always on the hunt for a crooked fork or a staff slip-up. Jessica, the queen bee waitress, saw me as competition, not a co-worker, and she made it her personal mission to keep me in my place. If you've ever worked with a Jessica, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But hey, it was a job, and I kept my head down, took my tables, and made sure my smile never slipped. Then came the night everything shifted. It started with this hush that rolled through the kitchen like a wave. The Klaus Richter was coming to dinner. Now, if you're not glued to the business channels, let me explain. Klaus Richter is a legend in the titan of industry sense. Not the warm and fuzzy kind. German billionaire. Built his empire by swallowing up companies, spitting out the bones, and never apologizing for any of it. He had a reputation for being brilliant and brutal, a guy who could silence a boardroom with a glare. I should have guessed I'd get stuck with his table lucky number 12, right by the window, the unofficial firing squad for any server hoping to survive the week. Harrison wanted our best on display, but I could feel Jessica's stare drilling into my back like she was already picturing me packing on my apron for good. Didn't matter. I needed the tips. Needed to keep my head above water until graduation. So I pressed my uniform, put on my best poker face, and told myself, don't give them anything to talk about. When Richter arrived, he didn't walk into the restaurant, took the room. Picture this, 6 feet tall, steel gray, suit sharp enough to draw blood, and these eyes like cracked glacier ice. 2 younger guys in designer suits hovered around him like satellites, always just out of reach. Harrison scrambled to greet him, bending over backward, and then some, and I got called over as one of our very best, which, let's be honest, just means the staff member who'll take the hit if things go south. I stepped up, offered the menu with a polite smile, and got that look, the one that weighs you, finds you wanting, and files you away as not worth remembering. He didn't say much at first, just ordered his wine in a tone that was both a test and a trap. What was the exact rainfall in Bordeaux in '05? He asked, tapping the most expensive bottle with a finger. I didn't flinch, told him it was a dry year. Smaller yields. Amazing grapes. A flicker of surprise crossed his face. Didn't expect a waitress to know that. Point. Anna. But it was like that all-nighter battle of small humiliations. He sent back dishes, complained about the music, nitpicked the lighting. Every move was calculated. A little dig at my competence, and his lieutenants played along, agreeing with every word. It was psychological warfare, plain and simple. Then came the moment everything broke. I was pouring water for the table, careful as ever, but one of his guys gestured too wildly and the pitcher bumped. sending a single drop onto Richter's sleeve. You'd have thought I dumped a gallon on him from the way the room froze. Richter went still, staring at the spot like it was a mortal wound. Then, believing I didn't understand, he switched to German. What he said, man, it still stings. Even now, look at this clumsy girl. They hire these pretty, empty-headed children and call it service. She probably has the intelligence of a garden gnome. All she is good for is standing there and looking decorative. Utterly incompetent. His executive snickered, the way you do when you're trying to stay on a boss's good side. But I understood every single word. I'd spent a year in Heidelberg on scholarship, writing my thesis on Germanic dialects. So his insult hit home, but not for the reason he thought. Something in me just snapped. The years of being underestimated. The petty cruelty from Jessica. The grind of trying to be good enough just to survive suddenly. I wasn't scared anymore. I placed the water pitcher down, looked Richter dead in the eye, and replied in perfect, icy German, correcting his grammar, flipping his word incompetent right back at him. Perhaps one should not expect linguistic precision from a man whose character is so clearly incompetent. You should have seen his face blur. Stunned silence. His two execs looked like they'd seen a ghost. Mr. Harrison, racing over to defuse the scene, was so flustered he didn't even know which language to apologize in. Richter just stared at me, shock giving way to this weird kind of respect, or maybe curiosity. He tried to regain control, asked me, still in German, "Who are you?" I told him the truth. "My name is Anna Jensen. I am your server." That's not what he wanted. So he pushed harder. Where I learned German. I dropped my credentials: Heidelberg, comparative linguistics, academic scholarship. For a moment, I swear, he actually looked rattled. This wasn't the ending he'd scripted. What happened next? Well, I still get chills thinking about it. He dismissed my manager, barked at his execs to leave, then invited Mino, commanded me to sit at his table. That's not normal. Folks, I hesitated, but in that moment, I decided, if this was a power game, I'd play it my way. He started talking business. He needed a cultural liaison, someone who understood both the words and the music of negotiations, especially for a big merger in San Francisco. He offered me a job $180,000 a year, plus a signing bonus. That number, for someone who'd been scraping by on tips and ramen, it was unreal. But the craziest part wasn't the money, it was why he offered. "Because you're not afraid of me," he said. "Everyone else tells me what I want to hear. You told me the truth, even when it was dangerous." That hit me hard. All my life, I've been taught to keep my head down, not make waves, just survive. Now, the one time I stood up, spoke my mind, it changed everything. But it wasn't simple. Could I really work for a man who'd insulted me so casually, who used his power to hurt others? Was I selling out if I took the job, even if it meant changing my life, helping my mom, paying off my debt? All night, my mind spun, especially as Jessica's jealousy exploded, making the rest of my shift a living hell. Sabotage, rumors, you name it. I realized, even if I turned down Richter, my old life at the Gilded Spoon was done. Walking home, I kept feeling that business card burning in my pocket, this invitation to a whole different universe. And the more I thought, the more I realized, linguistics isn't just about words. It's about power, context, knowing when to speak up. Maybe this was my chance to prove my worth to myself most of all. By sunrise, I'd made my decision. I sent in my resignation, ignored Jessica's drama, and showed up at Richter Industries with my head held high. The building was all glass and steel, cold and intimidating. But I wasn't scared, not this time. When Richter's assistant led me into his office, he tried all the usual tricks, make me wait, show off his library, flex his status. But I called him on it, laid out my own terms: respect, academic flexibility, And here's the kicker: I asked for my signing bonus to be turned into a scholarship fund for linguistic students at Columbia. He stared at me, actually laughed, a real laugh, not a cruel one, and shook my hand. "Welcome to Richter Industries," he said. And just like that, the tables turned. I walked out of that meeting not as a server, not as a victim, but as someone who knew her own value in every language. So let me ask you, when's the last time you stood up for yourself? Even when it felt impossible. What would you have done if someone tried to put you in your place, thinking you were too small to matter? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to hear your stories about speaking truth to power, or just standing up when it counted. And hey, if Anna's story hit home, give this video a like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Because sometimes, all it takes is one word, the right word to change your destiny.